Good morning, my name is Sim Kasang, and today I'll be presenting my individual assignment for business ethics and social responsibility. I'll be analyzing a real case shared by my mom, who has over 15 years of working experience in the education sector. By using Aristotle's theory of the golden mean, I'll identify the virtues and the vice of two individuals involving and suggesting how they can develop a better character through habitation. The workplace issue. So the moral issue I'm presenting took place in a school staff room within a rigorous and academically pressured institution. The issue involves misconduct of professional image, gross dereliction of duty, and defiance of the basic workplace discipline. So there are two individuals at the center of this case. First, individual A is a newly recruited Gen Z teacher from a fresh university who pursued personal expression of self-gratification and completely lacks professional boundaries in the workplace. As for individual B is his senior mentor, a veteran educator who valued rigorous professional standards and was responsible for guiding this new teacher. Habitual behavior patterns. So what makes this case ethically significant is that they were not one-off mistakes. They were habitual patterns week after week. Now looking at individual A on the left side of the slide, first is distracted work habits. He watched drama series on his iPad during lesson preparation and grading times. Second, unprofessional appearance. He tends to carry a flashy handbag and walk loud leather shoe into the office. So he will set up a mirror at his desk and apply full makeup during working hours. And finally, neglects tasks. Students' exercise book is piling up over his desk, unread for days. And now as we look at individual B on the right side, his habitual response was avoidance behavior. He showed fear of being labeled as conservative or interfering. He resorted to a side glance and private sighing, but not direct action. So this allowed this misconduct escalate all the way to the principal incident. So now let me identify the virtues and the vices of individual A. So individual A displays two clear vices. First will be arrogance, and the golden mean here is humility. The observation behavior that he dismisses constructive feedback from colleagues. He tends to defend his unsanitary habits. When colleagues point out that his used tissue on the desk are dirty, instead of cleaning up, he claims that they were not dirty, and he tends to continue to keep it until it molds or smells. So this shows a totally absence of professional humility. Second would be ambitiousness or laziness. The golden mean is ambition, and here he neglects his marking duties to watch drama on his iPad or on his phone. He shows no drive to fulfill his professional responsibilities or improving in his teaching qualities. So this exhibits a complete lack of professional ambition. So let's move on to individual B vices. So individual B, while experienced and well-intentioned, also displays vice, not through malice, but through misguided tolerance. So first countenance, the golden mean is courage. So individual B is repeatedly avoiding confrontation to individual A. He failed to provide a clear professional guidance early on and when it is needed the most. And this displays a lack of courage, and it's also allowing individual A to continue on doing unprofessional things in the workplace as well. Second, injustice. The golden mean is justice. By allowing this misconduct to continue unchallenged on and on again and unresolved, individual B is indirectly harming the other diligent teacher who were demoralized by the lack of environment. This exhibits a lack of justice. So the key Aristotle insight here is this: good intention without the courage to act are still form of vice. So before I apply the analysis, let me briefly explain what is Aristotle golden mean using a bell curve. So looking at this diagram, the horizontal axis represents the spectrum of a character from deficiency on the left to the golden mean in the center and to the excess on the right. So the vertical axis shows frequency how a person acts in that way. So a vigorous person bell curve peaks at the golden mean. This means they most frequently act in the balanced, virtuous way, not too little and not too much. And a person with vice has a curve that peaks at one of the extremes, either too little at the deficiency end or too much at the excess end. So crucially, Aristotle believes that vice can be corrected through habitation, what he calls hysis. It's like straightening a pipe that you bend the curve back towards the center through deliberate and daily practice. So now let me place individual A two vices on the bell curve. First, looking at the virtue of humility. As shown in the left diagram, individual A bell curve peaks at the far right at arrogance, which is excess of humility. This means he's most frequently acts with arrogance in the workplace. And he habitually dismisses all feedback. He defends his wrong behavior instead of reflecting. When colleagues point out his used issue, he claims they were not dirty. So to recenter this curve, individual A must practice humility daily, accepting criticism without excuse, and view his action from the perspectives of students, parents, and school management. Second, looking at the virtue of ambition. As shown in the right diagram, individual A bell curve peaks at the far left at ambitious or lazy, which is deficiency of ambition. He watched dramas on his iPad or phone while student exercise book remained ungraded for days and days. He showed no drive to fulfill his professional duties to improve his teaching quality as well. So to recenter this curve, individual A must practice ambition daily, finish grading before leaving work, and prioritize professional responsibility over personal entertainment. Now for individual B, the pattern is very different. The slide shows two bell curves. First, looking at the virtue of courage, individual B bell curve peaks at the far left at cowardice, which is the deficiency of courage. That means he most frequently chooses avoidance over confrontation. He repeatedly failed to give direct, timely guidance when it is needed the most. He chooses silence over discomfort. Second, looking at the virtue of justice, individual B bell curve also peaks at the far left at injustice, which is the deficiency of justice. By in silence, he allowed an unjust professional environment to proceed at the expenses of the colleagues who were working diligently and get distracted by individual's A action. So Aristotle's principle of bending the pipe applies here. Because individual B curve peaks so heavily at the deficiency end, he must constantly overcorrect, practice more direct and assertive intervention until courageous and just leadership become a natural habitual response for him. Finally, how can individual A recenter his bell curve and cultivate virtues through habitation? So here are the 3 action steps. First, reconstruct the role modeling image, cultivating humility and ambition. This means practicing and the removal of personal grooming and entertainment from the work environment as a daily ritual. Build the habit of separating personal time from professional time. Commit daily to the professional conduct that it advocates of teaching demands. Second, fulfill core duties, cultivating temperance and ambition. His personal rule must be finished grading before leaving work, prioritizing senior teachers' guidance over socializing. As the slide says, exercise books are a mirror of your teaching. And third, practice self-reflection and accepting criticism from colleagues. It's cultivate humility and courage. Stop making safe excuses for yourself and see yourself through the eyes of the student, parents, and school administration. Accept the consequence and rebuild reverence for the professional. Now, as for individual B, here are the 3 action steps. First, practice courage, mentorship, cultivating courage. Act rightly despite discomfort. Do not fear confrontation. Correct early because that is when correction works the best. Second, uphold justice, cultivating justice. Protect the professional environment for all the staff. Uphold standards as a moral habit, not just rule enforcement. And finally, express righteous indignation, constructively cultivating righteous indignation. No silent resentment. Turn discomfort into mentorship conversation. Be measured and caring for them. In conclusion, both individual A and individual B have strayed away from the golden mean, but the journey back is attainable through conscious effort and daily practice. By embracing the principle of Aristotle virtue ethics, they can cultivate a more balanced and fulfilling life. The path to virtue is a lifelong endeavor requiring patience, resilience, and a commitment to self-improvement. Through deliberate habitation, both individuals can recenter their moral compass and embody the virtues that leads to a flourishing life. That's it for my presentation. The link is my video presentation on this slide. Thank you for listening.